Hey everyone, what's up, Mystics? I'm your lovely haunted host, Nicole Gaspard, and tonight, we have another exciting topic. So I thought I'd do a topic tonight since we did an awesome interview yesterday with two awesome guests, including my co-host, Casey. Our guest was Craig Edwards and David Espinosa. So in case you missed it, it's our number 295 episode. Today we're going into our number 296 episode. So, how to most of you? I'm sure most of you have heard of that term if you're in this field as long as I have. And, you know, a haunted object, get this, behind every haunted object has a story. Some are still trying to tell it. Ah, so welcome. I think I got your attention. So buckle up, bring your holy water. Let's get started. Let's deep dive into secrets hidden in haunted objects. What do they remember? What are they trying to reveal that most of us often overlook? Yeah? So in this episode number 296, whoa, 296. And I've missed it with my podcast for 60 years, folks. We've been a podcast for 6 years, and pretty proud of myself. And I'm your host, Nicole Gaspard, your religious demonologist, writer, and crafter, just a bit everything, down to our widow. So since 2020, it's a little bit about everything about me. So, hey, if you're new here, don't forget to hit the magic like button. You all know what to do on your way up. All the way, come on over the way over here on our YouTube channel. So we do have a YouTube channel specifically for our podcast. And today we have, I finally upgraded our initial trailer. So I'll try to add that too. You can see it when you check our channel out. So yeah, Mr. Whispers, we might have come a long way, haven't we? But yeah, this episode I thought I'd share like not only how to remote view hidden like haunted objects and the mysterious impressions that really emerge from antiques, heirlooms, haunted dolls, especially right, haunted dolls are popular, and photographs and forgotten relics, right? I'm trying my hand over here in storytelling the best I can, so bear with me. So, can emotions become really attached to a physical item? I've been asked that a lot. You know what? I think it can. I think they can. And especially if there's like, traumatic events prior and afterwards to the murder or death, that left behind that energetic imprint. Especially if you're in a location known to be built over like limestone and all the mother of stone that supposedly imprints emotion and trauma and things like that. That's what led me to write my current miniseries, Haunted Ward. The first one is already out, but only on Amazon. And it's out on all formats, I believe, The Haunted Ward, where trauma is contagious. That's the first one. The second one really fell in my lap, I tell you. I Man, I was contemplating on the second one, and it's like, oh, it just came to me. Don't you love that? I'm sure you writers can relate. So, why not? I was thinking, well, why not call it Echoes of the Ward, right? At first, I was calling it Echoes from the Past, and I'm like, I think there's some things about that already. So, how about Echoes of the Ward? right? It was in the ward. And it's kind of like someone asked me how I did that idea, like interview yesterday. And I was like, well, there's psychological horror, there's trauma in the hospitals. We all don't like hospitals, don't we? There's so much mixed feelings about hospital horrors. You would think that sometimes they're supposed to heal us, but a lot of times we may not make it. So that's why I got this idea of trauma. There's a lot of bloodshed, a lot of emotion, and that alone, y'all paranormal researchers and investigators are like, can attest that is a recipe for like open doorways and portals to the other worldly, other side. So it can lead to portals, and we tell you, remote. Oh hey, get this. If you can remote view, and if you have abilities, my spirit guide, tell me one time, and Elizabeth, hey, if you're here, like, hey, welcome. But you know, they tell me a really good advice while I was trying to remote view certain places or things, objects. Um, so they're like, well, why don't you use your ability in your third eye? Wow. At the same time, you remote view. I'm like, whoa, that makes total sense. And so I've done it ever since. Man, you won't believe the shit I've seen. Excuse my friend. But, it is what it is. When this is real, you gotta swear, I'm sorry. But I'm your host, Nicole Gaspard, to explore fascinating, safe experiments that we can try home. And we can practice remote viewing with each other, with your friend, not one mentor, whoever you feel comfortable with, husband, wife, girlfriend, you know what it is. But and we can practice on each other. If we don't have anyone, hey, I'll be your mentor. I've been mentored before. Hey, just hook me up. And just practice on yourself. If you don't have a mentor, you can practice with a mirror. Make sure the background is plain and white. Plain and white. So that way you can see the colors if we have colors. A lot of times when I remote view, I can see colors. Or I like what Miss Warren would say, I can see lights around people. And I believe what she meant was the auras around each living person, object, place, thing, everything, tree, everything has an aura. I'll talk about that in the next video with you guys like that. But anyway, really it's like, whew, can traumatic events leave behind energetic imprints? I've been often asked that. Yes, I would say yes. And, you know, for storytelling, paranormal theory, and first-hand experiences, hey, we can go a long way, can't we? So, and there's a possibility that some objects may or may not be haunted. So maybe that's why it's a good idea before we, get it off someone, like, someone and selling them, Especially, like, on eBay. I know I've been there. Not that I'm knocking eBay. Alright. So it's, you know, you might just get lucky and again, you're just taking your chances. So anyway, where am I? Oh yeah, so obvious may have an aura, especially if they're haunted. Hey. So anyway, and I can go into that next tragedy. I think so. Let's say for like Annabelle, the famous Annabelle Warren's Museum, Occult Museum. That's the true one. The true Annabelle is at the Warren's Occult Museum. And I'm pretty sure it's seen quite a bit of tragedy, trauma. So, and no wonder it's so supposedly haunted, right? It should just be rumors of stories, right? So, what is it about rumors, right? I don't mind rumors. I learn a lot more when I hear about rumors about me. It's like, oh, I did that. Oh, wow. So anyway, but in a simple antique doll revealed decades of tragedy and in old photographs carry emotional energy from its former owner. Yeah, there's a definite yes for that too, especially if you can read photographs. There's a word for it. I can't remember it. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to do some homework again. I'm getting rusty with my terms. Anyway, also, and can a person physically perceive information from an object, whether it be haunted or not, without even touching it? Yes. And I experimented with it myself, and I can attest to it, yes. So tonight I'll share how remote viewing works for me, but it may not work for you, so you have to try both ways. Try both ways, whatever way works for you, stick with it. Alright? Just because it may work for me, I want to say, may not work for you. So let me know which one works for you. That's why I'm most interested, right? Right? And I'm sure our listeners will be interested from around the world. Where y'all listening from? I know y'all listening from around the world, so we're out here in sunny California, man. We're in official summer. Woo! So, tonight, I'll share how I like to remote view some work cases or haunted objects or team or locations, that paranormal investigators use. And several personal experiences that left me questioning how much energy physical objects can truly hold, right? So, for example, well, anyway, let's do this. Turn down the lights, get comfortable again, and let's begin. What is remote viewing? I've been asked that so many times. What is remote viewing? So I thought I'd put this video together this time with just my voice. So I hope y'all are alright with that. And my lovely picture there, sort of. I miss my long hair. But anyway, what is remote viewing? Well, remote viewing, supposedly, is a practice of gathering information about a person, location, or object through phys physic perception with your third eye. They forgot to add the third eye. It is perceiving long distance information. I like to call remote viewing. Long distance information. There you go. Unlike traditional mediumship, although if you do have those ability to use it while you're remote viewing, a little can go a long way, right? So, traditionally mediumship remote viewing does not require physical contact, or, and especially rules have it that we're not supposed to, even know the target of a person or the location that we're reading. But sometimes knowing the certain location or person I'm reading may help. Man, I'm like, whoa. What happened to me is like, man, I can't wait to share. But the viewers receive impressions, symbols, and emotions, images and sounds, and sometimes even physical sensation, right? Am I right or am I right? And the concept gained through, attention through government-funded research programs during the Cold War. And so many psychics and sensitive like myself or yourself have been practicing similar methods for centuries. Maybe it was handed down by our ancestors. We didn't even know it till later on in life, right? In my case, I like to research more in our family tree and see who else was psychically in tune, the other side. Like, I know my grandmother and I was from my dad's side, but wouldn't it be interesting? So, yeah, I'll try to add that one day. But in paranormal investigation, remote viewing is sometimes used before entering any haunted location. Like, a friend of yours can be on the other side of the world or a couple states back and he'll be like, can you remote view our next location? All you have to do is ask, right? I'll be like, sure, why not? So, and I'll just give him whatever I perceive. I will either write it down or I'll tell it as is. Sometimes I notice a lot of mediums would use pad and a pencil or marker that helps them to stay focused on the subject that they're reading, right? And other times it is used remote viewing is used on mysterious or haunted objects, like dolls, for example. I can tell one time when I tried to remote view one of my haunted dolls, Emily, actually she's right behind me. Hi Emily. But when I tried to remote view her one time, man, the results will amaze you. It still amazes me that I saw her right away as an apparition of a little child with black ponytail, two ponytails. She's pulling her hair like, oh, she sees me, you know. I think she kind of got upset that I saw her in her remote viewing. I don't know what it was, but I think at the time because she was locked up in our west cabinet and she didn't like that area. So I brought her out now. She's more better. She's more calmer now. And she's really more like my protector, if anything. She'll drive away anything negative or evil. And and another friend, mutual friend of mine, he's also a paranormal investigator. He had her for a couple of weeks. Let me tell you, he can attest that his entire place was like so peaceful. He didn't want to give her up. I'm like, oh, I miss my Emily. But he's like, he sent her back. Okay. So that was cool. So that just tells you that there is definitely something to that particular object or haunted doll, right? If someone else, you know, has about the same or different experiences with your haunted object or doll, then you know there's something there. Not necessarily, excuse me, not necessarily that it is, haunted or possessed, because haunted objects can't be possessed, or can they? I know we as humans, there's a lot of debate about that because in the paranormal field, I'm sure there's because we as humans are not only easily can become possessed, but we're easily manipulated by evil. Not necessarily demons, but evil. Portraying demons, maybe. Very rarely will have a demon manipulating a human or object. Or both, like Annabelle. I think it's both with Annabelle. But that's just my thoughts and opinions only, as with the rest of this podcast thereof. So, and I do have a disclaimer too that I will put on our trailer. So anyway, uh, the idea is simple. If information appears that later proves accurate, like I was saying, perhaps the object itself contains some kind of energetic record. Kind of like the residual energy or stuff, what I like to call residual haunting stuff energy, right? But anyway, a lot of it has to do with residual energy anyway. So welcome to the next part of our segment, personal experiences and the antique music box. Hmm. Who doesn't like music boxes, right? But several years ago, I was asked to examine a particular antique music box that I was actually drawn to right away. Isn't that funny? Locations, places, or things that we are drawn to usually have some kind of energy pull to it. I don't know what it is. But, yeah, I never said this to anyone. In some cases, I don't care to disclose the majority of them, but it depends on the owner. So let's see. So I knew something, a little bit about it. There's something to it. And whenever you feel drawn to something, there's some energetic force, right? Just like how our pet shows us, sometimes objects shows us, or dolls, or whatever, cars, places, right? Men, you have the cars. You know what I'm talking about. But the owner simply sent me the autograph. So that's what I asked. This is it's not autograph. If you want my autograph, let me know. But the owner simply sent me a photograph, and I actually started reading photographs ever since. And so I was focused upon its image, where several impressions emerged right away, right? And then, so I was like jotting down my notes. So I saw a young girl standing beside a staircase, and I sensed a lot of sadness. And I also sensed a feeling of waiting, like they're waiting for someone, right? And I also reportedly heard a melody that seemed incomplete. It's the strongest impression I ever had experienced myself. And how it was, I kept seeing the number 7. So I wrote down 7, I wrote down 0, and all those things. And after the session, the owner actually became silent. So that tells me I was on the right track. I'm like, sometimes I scare people. So I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you off. So, yeah, I lose more clients that way if I read them to the T. But on a good note, um, so my client said that the music box had belonged to her grandmother. So it's possible I was seeing her grandmother as she was as a child. I still have mine. Well, it's a jewelry box, but I don't play music. I still had that since I was 7 or 8 years old. It should be an antique by now. My her grandmother lost her daughter at age 7. So I went, oh, that's where the 7 comes from. And I went, my condolences to my client, grandmother. So she was fine with that. But the little girl often played with that exact same music box for years, and I had no prior knowledge of the family history of that harlot. Sometimes they're called harlot because it's passed down to generation to generation. Kind of like generational curses. That's kind of what it reminds me of. So, this could be a generational curse case. But, so what do you think it was? Was it a coincidence or was it a psychic perception or was it both? Comment below. Was it coincidence or psychic perception? A or B? I would like to say it's C, both. C, both. But, boy had emotional energy somehow attached itself to the object, like latching onto the object. I think there's no better other word than that. Latching. How they, um, how some, spirit attachment attach themselves not only to humans, but also to objects. There we go. Thank you, Spirit Guide. See, I learn something new every day myself. I don't know about y'all. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I do, but to this day, I don't know if it's a coincidence or both. Second impression of both. I still say it's both. Moving on to the next part of our segment here, shortly. Can objects hold energy? Yes. I like to say yes, they do. They might hold energy, but not necessarily possess the object. There's a difference. So many paranormal researchers and investigators alike believe that objects can absorb traumatic emotional energy. Right? Am I right? Am I right? So I think this theory is sometimes called psychometry. There's the word. Thank you, Spirit guys. Psychometry is where the idea suggests that you hold a certain object or photograph in your hand and that you're reading it with your hands. So the idea suggests that highly emotional events may leave energetic impressions behind, much like I was saying earlier. And by the way, this is my first time reading it. Whew! I like that feeling about y'all. Anyway, think of the object like as a recorder, for example, or our phone, they should be recorders. If enough, our phone. We carry our phones, why not? Our if enough emotion is present, perhaps traces remain long after the original owner is gone. Much like how we might receive caller or text from the brain. I think I just solved that problem. I solved that mystery. I love solving mysteries. Anyway, I'm sorry I like Murder She Wrote. So, sad Murder She Wrote. Anyway, this can only explain why certain entities seem to carry unusual and high feelings or low feelings. And why some locations might feel heavy. Like, for example, when I was in Alcatraz, almost every corner felt heavy. I had a hard time sticking with the people of that tour. And because I was having a hard time passing certain locations and cells, they can imagine jail was still there, and I went inside with all the emotion was like, boom, bombarded me like, and I absorbed it like a sponge. Those emotions, mixed emotions. Can you imagine being on there on the outside island, all alone at night, with the evil entity lurking around? That would drive me mad, absolutely insane. I don't know about y'all. I'll be like, just shoot me now. Just shoot me now. I don't want to be there after night unless I have a team, right? But real story though. We were on the island, outside the island, and they're like, "You better hurry up because we're gonna lose you." Last boat. I'm like, "Okay, we're on." We were hanging around the tourist trap, the store, you know. And like, oops. So yeah. But anyway, that's Alcatraz for you, right? In a very great example, besides a haunted hospital, have traumatic impression. Haunted ward, like my book. Wait, or why even investigators occasionally receive impressions, especially from objects with tragic history. Say like, when I was remote viewing of this particular location that is known to have tragic history, and it's not far from us or Hollywood, but it's in downtown LA, and I believe it's called the Cecil Hotel. And there's been a lot of deaths, suicides, murders, I can imagine, and all that can lead up to traumas, contagions, and who knows what entities might be lurking around. And now, allegedly, they turn it into an apartment. And would I live there? Maybe, if I had to, because I understand it. Would I be afraid of it? Somewhat, in the best respect of it. It's like how I'm fearful of snakes, but respectfully, if that makes sense. Or sorry, right? I respectfully revere sharks. But anyway, going back to the Cecil Hotel, I might have went by there years ago. I don't recall going actually inside that hotel. However, when I decided to remote view it one time, let me tell you the result is short but amazing. Hauntingly but amazing. But here's what happened. Right, I'm getting to the point, I'm getting to the point. Right, this whole get to the point. Okay. So anyway, it still haunts me to this day. So I decided, and I was videotaping it, mind you, so we could have gotten some EVPs while I was recording. That is why I think it's an excellent idea for a mediumship session to have a tape recorder nearby. You might get an extra message, I always say. So, when I close my eyes, a lot of time when I remote view, and now especially I can connect right away, I don't even have to close my eyes. Closing your eyes is just a symbolic way of closing your mind and your third eye. And if you have to, wear a bandana. Wear a sword over your eyes so you won't get distracted while you're remote viewing. And your tape recorder, I hope y'all take a note so y'all know my spirit guides are giving me all these ideas. So, you got your star, you got your tape recorder, you got your notepad ready. So, or you just want to speak to the recorder, that's fine. And then, just let it go. Let your mind go. A lot of times I just use my imagination. I know that that's the key word, imagination. We may lose that when we're older. Remember when we were younger, we used a lot of our imagination. So we tend to lose that when we get older, imagination. And that's key to successful remote viewing, you know? Okay, so you got your star, you got your recorder, and everything like that, you're focused, you were grounded, protected first. I mean, not to state that. Make sure you're grounded and protected first and foremost and afterward. That's very important for our safety and the safety of others. So when we do all that, then we're ready to lock in. We are ready to read. So just let it come to you. Don't force it. Don't try too hard. And if it don't work the first time, keep practicing. I always say, like, because I'm also a pianist, I always say, like, well, we are like, our body is a fine-tuned instrument. If we don't use it, we'll lose it. Good advice from one of my swim instructors. He's like, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. True with anything else. Tad this part. Anyway, whenever I say Tad, I'm gonna edit. So here we go with the Cecil Hotel session. Y'all ready? Here we go. So I was sitting here in this very area in my own space. Make sure you have a quiet space where you meditate and everything. When you're all ready in that mind state. I like to call it half awake, half asleep type thing. So it could be anywhere. You don't have to be in your space, but it could be anywhere. I see one of my past life when I was in the back seat of my great grandparents' hut. I don't know how that happened, but it did. I saw myself as an Indian woman sitting in the middle. So, to the Sea Hotel, I'm getting off track, sorry. Sea Hotel, this will amaze you. And I hope it won't scare you off, because it still haunts me to this day of this remote viewing experience. I know y'all get ready for it. I know, I'm sorry, I'm a writer. I keep y'all in suspense. So, as I was getting myself in a relaxed state of mind, all of a sudden, I just let myself go. And I felt like it's the weirdest sensation of being drawn up, like you're going up and down, and well, mostly going up in an elevator. Where that Lucia Lamb or someone was in that elevator, she's frantic. A lot of people believe that she was playing that elevator game or something that had gone wrong, deadly wrong, that led her to her demise, to her unalive ending, tragic ending. Could it be something mental, or could it be something else? That's what a lot of these cases, whether possession, remember the Emily Rose, the real Emily Rose Annalise case, possession case? Let me tell you, that poor girl went through hell on earth. She went through hell on earth. And my heart still goes out to her and her family, no matter how old that case is. You know, I'm gonna remote view that case and see what really happens. And I'll keep you guys updated. You guys like that? So, a lot of these cases could have some mental factor to it. That is why I believe it's a good idea as a paranormal team and exorcist or whatever you want to work with to have a questionnaire if you have some sort of mental issues. Are you taking prescribed medication for sleep apnea? Things like that is very important to know, right? On a case, on any case. And I commend you all for doing that because 99% of the time, it's usually not a demon. It's usually medical. Because in those days, in her days, it's just on the tip of the iceberg of medically, inclined, what am I trying to say? Medically inclined. Come on, sorry guys, I use some words here. My mind goes blank sometimes when I'm trying to come through, I think. But, there's a medically inclined back in those days, and they didn't really know. Okay, I think I'm getting it now. They didn't really know whether or not if a person is actually possessed or they having a seizure. Because they are hard to differentiate. What we need to differentiate is that we can look exorcist or demonology, we can look for some signs that a person is actually possessed and not psychically or physically mental, or I don't like the word disabled, but that or something else, something evil. And they do like to prey on the weak and damn birds, right? I call them damn birds. Damn birds. Anyway, um, so I'm getting off topic, but y'all know me, y'all love me. But the next one is to be even more chilling. So when I finally finish my session of reading of the Cecil Hotel, get this. I was drawn all the way up, was drawn on the elevator, all the way up to the top of the buildings. And there I saw the two water towers. Not one, but two water towers, where I saw her floating there, lifeless. Lifeless. Apparition floating there. And I was building up here because I know what it's like to experience all that. Oh, I know that's a mouthful, but it is what it is. So that's what happened during one of my first remote viewings, alright? You can choose to pick any place up, even the moon. We can remote view the moon, the stars, the heaven, you know, hell, whatever we want to remote view. But just be advised, be especially protected, always, before doing these remote viewing sessions. Alright, moving on to the next segment, the haunted doll session. Y'all ready? Whew, what is it about haunted dolls? Every location, I tell you, I've seen a doll, whether it's haunted or not. Especially like the Queen Mary. They have several dolls, mind you. I should have asked, is that the haunted doll? I should have asked that. I don't know why I didn't think to ask that. But next time I will. The $100 session. One of the strangest remote viewing sessions I ever conducted besides the Cecil Hotel was involving a reportedly haunted doll. So before beginning, I placed the photograph face down and entered a meditative state. That way it won't be influenced in any way if I have the photograph facing down. If it's a physical photograph, if it's from your phone, turn your phone on at first. So almost immediately, I sensed a small measure of rocking chair and an overwhelming feeling of loneliness. Kind of reminds me of the Annabelle doll, maybe. Then something unusual happened. The emotional impressions suddenly shifted. Instead of states of sadness, I felt intense emotional anger. Right. And the transition was so abrupt that it startled me awake. And when the session finally ended, the owner, the client, explained that multiple people have reported mood swings while near the doll. Even some felt sadness, others felt rage, but the consistency was enough to make me pay attention. As with most haunted objects or dolls. Here's the next segment. So get your pens ready. How to remote view an object. Alright, this is like the highlight of this episode. How to remote view an object. For those curious about trying to remote viewing themselves, step number 1. First, clear your mind and remove any distractions. And most importantly, protect yourself. You all like that? Alright, so when at first I was like trying so hard to imagine a movie picture with my third eye. All of a sudden, I would get flashes of images, like a flash movie. And it's like, one time when I was being tested, I was like, I don't mind being tested, test your psychics. I'm being tested all the time. And you know you're a genuine psychic. So anyway, yeah, this is a good way. One of the good ways to test your medium or psychics or functional team members. You can get like those, what are those called? Cards called Jeter cards. Where you're supposed to guess a certain symbol, whatever. And I got the most symbol right. And it's like, we were all like, even myself, I amaze myself sometimes. We are like, whoa, that is how I got to be part of the Los Angeles medium. So LA medium is a pretty cool title. But anyway, I like to help out once in a while, so don't be sad. Kidding. So the way I like to remote view, and I'll wrap this up, is, like I say, it may not work for you, but try it, see how it works. Or if you have a different way, let us know. So the way I like to remote view, I either have like a physical object or a photograph, or from my phone, and I'll glance at it, and then I'll put it back. Because if I keep looking at it, that'll really influence me and I don't like that. So we're not really supposed to know our target when we remote view. But I've tried it one time, and I'm like, you know what? Just give me the location. Bam, I was right there. I felt like I was intruding because they saw me. This poor lady, I think we stared at each other, but it was kind of funny. But I'm like, oops, sorry. But yeah, but sometimes it helps if you do know a certain target. So or location. So I like to try both ways. So you know, sometimes it's fun breaking the rules, right? It's fun. So what I do is I get into a relaxed state after I ground myself and meditate. First, meditate. Prayer, protection is key. So after all that, you're ready in that mind state. It's like doing any other spiritual work, right? You're in that mind state. And then, if you have abilities, use them. Use your psychic abilities. If you have clairaudience, clairvoyance, all the clairs, use them. That is what my spirit guides told me one time. If you have abilities, use your ability while at the same time you are remote viewing. Ah, I hope we're getting somewhere, folks, because, after that, I was like, whoa, it got so much better when I listened to my spirit guides. I hope it helps you if you listen to our podcast. I mean, really, it's amazing how we can learn from each other. I know. So, and don't forget to mix it with our podcast. See you in the next one.